Hey guys, thank you for checking out this video of an interview that I did with Paul from Team Propstream. Really appreciate it. Go ahead, like this video, subscribe, please. That would be awesome. Also, if you want to learn more about Propstream, look up our free Facebook group on Facebook. It's called Propstream Mastermind Free Training. Join it, join the discussion with other Propstream users about how we're using it, especially right now. With this big market shift going on. Another thing, I apologize for my bad audio. I did not have my microphone plugged in. I did a little bit of editing, made it sound a little bit better. It's still understandable, but again, it's not the type of quality that I like as far as audio. But nonetheless, check it out. Again, join our free Facebook group, or if you don't have the free trial to Propstream, check it out. There's a link below. Thank you.
Hey guys, this is Chris here on a Zoom call with Paul from Team Propstream. We're going to be shooting about a 30 to 35 minute video showing a general overview of this amazing tool, and as well as I'll have Paul go over some of the recent updates. Paul, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's good. Good seeing you. You're there in the office. I'm over here on these virtual mountains. Man, really good connecting with you though. So I could, just kind of catch up and see how you guys are doing, and just kind of run through some of the things that we're doing here at Propstream. As a lot of us are working from home, I've gone to this virtual model that I've always operated at, but now we find ourselves here now, working from home, but here at Propstream. Here, wherever we are, because we're all separated.
In the Alps, huh?
Yeah, we're continuing to make some improvements on our software over here, man.
Awesome, that's exciting.
So I'm going to share my screen here. We're going to dive in. We're going to go into kind of a general overview of using Propstream for your business. As well as being a part of Propstream, I do run a virtual wholesaling business. I'm here in California, and my business, our markets are in Florida. So I'm going to show you some basic workflow from like the perspective of a wholesaler, when leads are coming into the system, what you would generally do with them, and then also what you might be doing for marketing as far as pulling some of your lists, either monthly or quarterly, right? So let me share here. Let's get into it. All right, cool. So we're going to dive in here and get right into Propstream. Let me move some of this stuff around here so I can see you better, and hopefully the audience can see what we're doing. And you can see everything going on here, right, Chris?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, cool. All right, man. So here we are in Propstream. It is a nationwide platform, right? So we're able to operate this anywhere. Obviously, it loads up here to where I am. I am in Southern California, but you can operate this in any part of the country. So we'll dive in and we'll use this sample address here. So let's imagine, in a wholesaling business, which is really a marketing business, right? Because we put out marketing to generate leads. These leads will come back into us. So sometimes they come into our CRM. Sometimes they come in referrals, phone calls. We're driving around, whatever. We see a house when we're walking our dog, whatever that may be. You throw your property address, and initially you're going to get your details here on the right side of your screen. With our details button, you get our whole shebang of a property. As a wholesaler and in my business, really what we're looking for as these leads have come into our system is to really match up the information that's been provided to us. Is this really a 2-2? Is this really owned by whoever we spoke to? This is some of the information that we can kind of vet in here really quick on the fly, and also the estimated value, right? Are we in the ballpark range? Is this person asking for $600,000 on this house, or are they throwing around 100, 90,000, 80,000? What's that conversation like? We use this as our quick reference number, if you will. And then we can make our quick assessment if we're going to continue to process this lead or not. And we then move forward to kind of identify any additional information we might need to see, like the bedroom, the type of building, really the who, what, where of the building, and the location of it, as well as the tax information, any HOA information if that's available or if that's even pertinent to that market, and who, what, where of the last transactions, right? So pretty much anything you might need to know, either before going on an appointment, as an acquisitions, manager, or maybe as a independent, owner. Maybe you're doing all the, positions in that job. You're going on appointments, you're taking the calls, whatever it may be. You have the ability to really understand that property, and have a little bit more of knowledge before you go on the appointment or take that phone call or the follow-up.
Yeah.
Let me show you what the next move in our business would be, is to run our comps, right? So we go into the comp section. If we've pushed this lead further in our process, we know it's something that might be in the ballpark, maybe the condition or the needs there. We're going to continue to work it, right? So we'll go into the comp section, and there's two areas right now that we look at, and that's the public record comps and the MLS comp section. We look at the public record comps because these are going to be all the properties that we can filter down to, all the properties that are the most comparable to our subject property, right? And that's essentially what our comps are, right? What properties around our subject property are the most like it to be able to identify price, right?
So Paul, real quick, if that little tab there for the public record comps, there's an automatic filter there. Is that what you're saying, that it looks for the closest type of properties as far as size and distance?
Well, by default, the system is going to find the most like properties. And if you see here in the filters, it already has a predefined range, and it has a predefined range in sale date range. But I don't use this in my business. Maybe in some markets this would make sense. I always shrink this down to 6 months. In my market, this is 6 months, and then I shrink down my square footage, right? Maybe it needs to be a little bit tighter, because I'll tell you why, right? So as we shrink this down, this range of properties is going to shrink, right? Because we're finding the most like properties. And as you tighten it up, obviously you're going to have less results. So let's do 1100. And now you see here, there's 3 examples here on this, right? Maybe these meet our need, or maybe we need to open it up. Maybe the same thing on the bedroom and bathroom count, right? Maybe we open this up so we have additional properties. We tighten this up to be exactly 2. We want the most like properties so we can see what's there. If we add filters and stuff disappears, open up your filter set. Right, so from half mile, we can open it up to a mile, and we have additional properties that we can use to determine our comps here. We can look at the different criteria of the property, 2, square footage, year built. You see all these columns here, Chris, right? Now we're able to actually select the gear and get rid of this stuff that we don't need, right? Maybe I don't need the APN number in front of me, so I can remove that, and now that's gone, because maybe it's not pertinent in my need to comp, to be able to review all the different, the data points for the most like properties. So I could also remove property type. Let's get that here, because we could define that over here, right? And we can also move some of this stuff around if you need it. Which makes it really cool when you're trying to get through a bunch. In a typical day, we might be going through 20, 25 of these. So you need to look at the data a certain way in your business. You can move it around to adjust your needs. Beyond that, we go over, I'm missing an important part here. So you identify the properties that are within your parameters, and then you can select the properties that make the most sense to you. Every business is going to have a certain way of determining their ARV. Some cases, it might be the closest. It might be the average of the 3, the most like based on square footage and bedroom count. Whatever that way is for you and in your business, you can select those properties. And as you do, you're going to have an automatic average sale price here on top.
Yeah.
Right. And you see as we add them, that number changes. Right. So that can help you get to your ARV or determining the numbers that you need to get to that number. Right. So next, let me show you MLS comps, which also helps us make sure that we're dialing in our offer price and make sure we're getting to our ARV, to make sure that we're spot on, right? So we also look at MLS sold records. And I tell you why, because something could have sold this week, and we might not have that on public record yet. It might not have been, might not have recorded yet in public record. It might take a couple weeks, depending on the market, depending on, how the system is there. So my suggestion always is to look at your sold records. Run the same filter set, dial it in, see if there's an additional property or two that might change your comp, might change the number that your offer might go out as. Or buy as, right? So whatever it may be, I think it's really important to look at these as well. And your actives. We look at actives because we want to identify what properties around the subject property, what the asking price is, and also what they look like, right? So I can see this property, they're asking $79,900. I can look at it quickly. Is this fully rehabbed? Is it rental ready? What's the average of these homes? What do they look like, right? This helps me identify what kind of market, what kind of neighborhood it is. This is really helpful for us in being able to make sure we're setting the right price.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what we can do there in the comps area, in addition to the tax information that we provide, mortgage and transaction history if you're trying to identify when they bought it, how much, what the estimated loan balance is, all that sort of stuff you can find in this section as well. Right, so this is all the single property perspective. So as leads come in, as you come across properties, as you find stuff that you want to put offers on, you do that search, do all your due diligence in here. You can do your comps in here, and then be able to come up intelligently with a offer based on what you see in public record and based on the MLS data. Let me show. So Chris, you got any questions in that before we move on to the next section?
Not on that. I think that's a pretty good overview of the property details and comps.
Cool, man. So let me show you what we do next. So let's move on. Let's go somewhere else here. Why don't we go over to your neck of the woods or anywhere else that you suggest, Chris, so we can show, the flip side of the country. We're here in Florida right now.
Sure. Yeah. You could pull up a house that I wholesaled about 2 months ago.
Okay. Well, give me the town or the county that it's in.
Okay, Fresno, California.
All right, let's do Fresno. We can do Fresno, California, right? And so obviously you can do what we just displayed before anywhere. If this property came in as a lead, boom, here in Fresno, same thing. You can identify the comps, run through the process I just explained to you. But also, how do you feed that marketing channel? You need to pull lists. So what we do monthly, and sometimes quarterly, it really depends. We go into filter and we start pulling lists. Depending on our need, to deploy for our marketing channels, we'll come in here and pull different sized lists, maybe for a new county, maybe a new list type, maybe a certain type of list we haven't run before. We can dial all that in using our different filters here. But first and foremost, what I always suggest is you apply base criteria. And base criteria is basically what is it you're looking for, like single family homes, property type, right? Let's identify that are not on market, that maybe have been owned for, what do you say, Chris, about 7 years, have been owned for a bit and might have some equity, right? So this would be what I would consider base criteria, right? Maybe you're looking for something a little bit more specific. You could dial that in, but this is a good starting point. From this point, you can look at the size, right? That's 28,000. Wow, that's a lot of properties maybe you don't have the ability to market to that or handle that, right? I mean, one thing is marketing to it. The other thing is being able to handle inflow of marketing, right? So depending on where you are in your business or what your capacity is, you can come in and start dialing it down to your need, right? Maybe you want to really shrink this up and really focus on maybe non-owner occupied. So these would be people that don't live there, right? It could be landlords. This could be second homes, right? This would be a good list to look at. So this list just shrunk down tremendously, down to 5,000, 5,400, much more manageable. This is something that you could save, right? We could save that now. Add to list. Create new. Fresno. What was this? This is non-owner occ. You can name it whatever you want. And I'm going to put an A in front so it's on the top of the list. Easy for me to find. All right, so we'll save it. The system will tell you how many you have left for your for the month for your account. And then you can come in. You can open this up. Find our list. What did I just call it? A
couple more. Oh, right there.
Oh, there you are. Too many Zoom calls, man. You start seeing cross-sided, right? So here we are. This is the list that we pulled. So these would be these non-owner occupieds with that base criteria in that county, right? If you wanted to deploy marketing or direct mail, maybe you're texting, maybe you're calling, maybe whatever it may be, this would be a way to pull a list. And from here, you could export it out. You know, maybe you want that list. Maybe it's going to be a driving for dollars list.
Yeah.
Or maybe you want to also in here identify the columns that you need. You can go in, select, or remove things that are pertinent to your needs. You know, sometimes you're exporting lists that all you end up doing is just deleting the columns anyway, right? Yep. So this might help you and speed up your process to deploy the marketing. I know for me, it's really, really helpful to kind of streamline that and go through just have the stuff that I need. So I'm not wasting time with data I simply just don't need for that activity. And these can move around a bit, however you need them, and then you can anchor them here on the left. Right, so this is your list. You can also, let's go back to Fresno, start finding very specific niche lists.
Yes.
So we'll go back in here. Let's add that base criteria again. Single family, not on market. And I like doing ownership type individual because I can save them in here and I can actually skip them within Propstream, within the platform. LLCs, our system right now won't return answers for LLCs. So definitely it's smart to separate the individuals. I'm not saying not target the LLCs because you do as well, but getting the direct number will happen for the individuals only right now.
Okay.
Okay, so years of ownership, and let's add some equity, right? We always want a little bit of meat on the bone. 50 to 99. If you do the max, that's going to include free and clear. So 50 to 99, that's everybody that still owes money on that property, right? So in this case, non-owner occupied, these are going to be landlord-owned properties or second homes, right? That have this base criteria, they still owe money. You can add liens on top of that. Right, it's going to shrink. We have 59 results, right? But this starts getting a little bit more niche, right? You've shrunk down your list. It's more manageable, if you will. You can hyper target this. You can hyper focus on 59, figure out what's going on. And since we are looking at liens, if we open any one of them up, it has a lien details tab, and it's going to actually tell you what's going on with that lien.
Yeah, you know what I think would be cool is to be able to exclude a certain type of lien type, because like in my experience, probably most of the liens that pop up is that independent solar lien. So I mean, even if you did like a max,
right,
the max equity, there's going to be a lot of properties on there that just have a solar lien and not necessarily like a city lien or something that you'd want to go after.
So if you come in here to your point
can.
or to your question there, we can actually come into the specific lien type. And if you've identified that the solar, obviously you don't want because it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense, or even if the lien amount, right? Maybe there's like $100 liens. Like, let's be honest, maybe that's not the highest motivation, right? But somebody that
Yeah.
has 5,000 or 50,000 in a lien, motivation will be higher perhaps, right? So you could filter that out as well. So let's put a 1,000 for the example, just 1,000 and up tax liens only.
Yeah.
It shrunk it down, that's 27. And this might be just more, it might have the better response for you.
Yeah.
Might be hitting the sweet spot that you're looking for. And, with lists and marketing, I mean, the name of the game is really, pulling lists based on, certain criteria in your local market, and testing it out. And two things of testing it out, making sure you're pulling the right data, right? Making sure you're using the right filters. So making sure you're identifying that correctly when you're using our filter set here, but also making sure that you're handling it properly, or deploying it properly, right? So I always tell people, make sure that whatever marketing you're doing, make sure that you can do it, and you can do it often. You can do it every day. You can do it monthly. You can do it weekly. Make sure you can do it day in, day out, and become an expert on it before you start, looking at 2, 3, 4 different type of channels, right?
I agree.
So here, Chris, so we looked at liens. Let me reset this. Let's go back into Fresno. And let's add some other filters. We can also do, let me show you this now because I think it's kind of relevant to the times that we're in. If you're trying to shore up your cash buyer list, you can come into cash buyers. This is going to identify the cash transactions in Fresno, but let's do ownership info and we'll do max 1 year. So these are going to be cash transactions in the last year. That's 1,200. That might be worth, a phone call. You could save these people, save the entire list. Let's do it again. Let's do create new a Fresno cash buyers. At some point, I got to clear out that list and make it easier. Save. All right, so we go in here and we can go to my properties. Right here on the top of the list, boom, 1,200. We can then select them all and go to new campaign, go to skip trace. And we can get the numbers, right? We can get the phone numbers for these cash buyers and call them and find out, hey, are you guys buying right now? Are you guys active right now? What are you guys doing? Now, I know a lot of investors right now, that's what they're doing. They're shoring up their cash buyer pool. They're trying to understand what buyers are doing right now and what they're buying. So this is certainly one way you can go at it too. And let me show you another really awesome thing. So sometimes you're trying to understand how your market's doing. And I think now as we go through this weird market change, we're going to want to identify how things have progressed and what we can do in Propstream. Let's go to your local market area over here in Fresno. And sometimes we want to understand the price growth, right? So let's go back for 5 years, right? So 5 years will help us understand, where the growth has been. So we can quickly see where the pockets of growth have been in 5 years, right? I mean, it's kind of far out. 1 year growth, where are the pockets of growth in the year? Or what I think is interesting is what's the 1 month growth as we go forward, right? Are we going to see any green? Are we going to see any depreciation anywhere? Or are we going to see a flattening or growth? And I think this is easily, if you start looking at this from month to month, moving forward, you're going to start to see where those pockets are.
Yeah.
And I think that might be helpful. And what's really cool is obviously it's not just local, it's nationwide. So you can identify pockets nationwide, whether you're in California or in Florida, whatever state you're in or whatever state you're buying in. A second here to fill in here. The internet's being used up by my entire clan here in my house. The joys of virtual working, right, Chris?
Yeah.
Let me zoom in here so I can show the audience I'm not making stories up. Boom, there we go. There we
Nice.
go. Missouri, there, nationwide. Boom.
There you go.
Right. So, there's a lot of stuff here in our tool for the investor to use. Whether you're a pro, whether you're trying to look at other markets, identify other markets you need to tap into, or somebody really just getting into the business and
Yeah.
they're trying to figure out and make sense of a property. How many times when you started, I know when I started, I'd look at a property and be like, now what? Like, what do I do? Or who owns this? Or I don't know if they owe taxes, or what's the phone number? All that sort of stuff is all here kind of in one, which makes it really great for the newbie. And like I said, also for anybody in between, right up to the investor. We have some awesome things rolling out, in the next couple of days. I was hoping to have them ready for you today, but the software gods didn't allow for that to happen. But in the next day or so, we're going to start making some of the comping ability even easier. We'll be combining, if we go here, let me show you. We combined the public record and the MLS stuff. That's going to all be morphed into one, and just more functionality and being able to save these columns to make it easier for your workflow, your daily workflow while you're comping and getting through those properties as they come into your world, into your systems.
That's awesome.
So we're excited for that. We have a list automator as well, not in this demo version, but I'll show you here up top. Let me move this little camera. There we are. You'll see here when you go into your My Properties section, you're going to get this option to upgrade. And essentially what this allows you to do is monitor your list that you've created. So take like a pre-foreclosure list, for instance.
Yeah.
Those lists change all the time. Things are either being foreclosed or they're being, saved. New ones are added, taken off daily. And that stuff, it's an ongoing thing. You can either do that manually yourself, pull those lists and update them, add them to your list now, add them to your marketing, or you could just have the system automatically refresh it as it happens and add it to your list, which is really cool and streamlines your marketing and really a time saver, if you ask me, what you can do, and really just kind of identify as well other things that might be happening on that list. Maybe you pulled a list, a non-owner occupied list 6 months ago, but now maybe you want to look at it again and identify vacants or liens on top of that list. The automator will give you the functionality to now slice and dice that list, which is really exciting. And also be able to import data, right? So if you have any old lists that you have, maybe now you want to like pull them into the system, update them, figure out what's happened to that list. And now maybe you want to re-slice and dice, meaning adding filters to them to figure out, whatever it may be you're looking for, vacants, liens, non-owner occupieds, free and clear, you name it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's an add-on to the your regular service, right?
Yeah, and it depends on how much data you're going to be, how much data you want to monitor. If your list is either 2,000 or up to like 1 million, depends on the volume you're going to automate or upload. So you'll select the tier that you need, and there's various tiers that are depending on the need that you have.
Nice.
Chris, did you have any questions, man, on any of this? I'd love to, dive back into any of this if you think your audience would need anything more specific here. But my advice, I'll tell you this, my advice for everybody that's looking at Propstream for the first time is, go in here and play around, right? Because a lot of what you're hearing here, the beautiful part is you'll see this afterward. You hit play, but a lot of times you're taking all this in. You're like, wow, there's a lot of stuff in here. Just get familiar with some of the basic functions, right?
Yeah.
How to look at a property, how to identify where the property is, how to run those comps, how to identify the properties around it to make sense with for an offer to be able to go out there and actually do the business, which is, finding those deals. And I think this group that you run, Chris, is great. It's a good forum to be able to put up your questions, use it to be able to kind of share your ideas too. A lot of the progress and development for the platform has come from the feedback, from investors, live investors saying, hey, it would be really neat if it would do XYZ, whatever that may be. And, we take that to heart. And, myself, I'm an active investor. We listen to all these things, and if they make sense and overall they improve the application, absolutely, we put them right in. And that's a lot of what you've seen here over the course of the last 2 years. So, definitely happy to hear, any suggestions or feedback that the audience, this group could provide here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I did have another question too, because I think you had covered a good amount of stuff, but in your experience speaking with other investors right now, kind of in light of this whole COVID-19 thing, well, essentially the entire world is going through, have you kind of seen maybe an uptick in kind of the quality of certain lists? I don't know about quality, but maybe how would you say, like that?
The response, or the
yes,
just overall response. Well, I mean, I can tell you this. I can tell you that a lot of people are home. I think it's identifying maybe where the specific need is. And it's hard for me to say. I'm in the storm as well, right? And what I'm looking at right now is maybe reaching out to landlords. Maybe they'll have a need right now to sell, because who knows? Maybe tenants aren't paying right now. Maybe they are. My strategy right now is to reach out and have those conversations and see what's going on there. And by picking certain lists, I can kind of tell what chunks of the market are, right? Like homeowners, I can tell you, a lot of them that we've spoken to in the last week or two, they're just sitting put right now. They don't want to sell their house, right? But that might just be the list that we were targeting at that point. We might go back in here and review, what that specific niche was, and adjust that, right? And then reach out and maybe have additional conversations and see, where that is, right? Maybe the non-owner or occupied has a different thought right now than somebody living inside that house. So I think it really comes down to really just testing out your different markets, pulling certain chunks of data out from here, deploying it, seeing what the response is. And you don't have to go large. I mean, thankfully we have technology that allows you to reach quickly, whether it's cold calling or SMS, mail, of course, that's, always an important channel. But you have the ability with certain channels with technology to get immediate, quicker response and really gauge, where you need to pivot to, right? I think now more than ever, pivoting or looking at what's going on and really being able to adjust to what's going on is super important.
Absolutely. Well, Paul, I think that's it for now. Really appreciate your time. If anyone's watching, you have any questions, you can drop a comment, whether it's on YouTube or on Facebook. I think maybe if I get enough questions, we'll maybe do another call some other time and go over, maybe some other aspects of the platform. But I think it's amazing. I use it probably almost every day. I do have the local MLS here where I'm an agent, but when I'm comping properties, maybe a few cities or a few counties over, I don't have MLS access. Propstream has been an amazing tool, and I've been able to still, come up with accurate valuations because, it might be connected to the MLS, a few counties over where I don't have access. So,
I mean, that's a great point, Chris. I mean, somebody like you, I mean, you're seasoned, you've been in business for a while, and you have your processes, your systems, but, even you that have had these things in place, you found the areas where, Propstream's been able to kind of supplement and aid in markets that you didn't have that quick access. So I'm glad to hear that. But, that's certainly one way that we help, even the seasoned guys like you.
Yeah, totally. Okay.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Sorry for the virtual confusion here. Hope everybody in the audience is doing great and everybody's healthy out there. If anybody has questions, just, put in your questions. Chris, I guess, is going to put this out. And, we'll do our best. I'll do my best to chime in and put you guys in the right direction, right?
Yeah, I appreciate it, Paul. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care, guys. Thank you.